Have you ever wished that you could invent things? What would you invent? What would you do with it? George Washington Carver was a great scientist and inventor. What he did might surprise you. Carver was born in January 1864 on the Moses Farm near Diamond Grove, Missouri. When he was still just a baby, slave raiders came and kidnapped him and his mother. After the Civil War, his former master was able to ransom him back, but his mother could not be found. Mr. Moses raised George and his brother as part of his own family. As he grew up on the farm, George learned to love plants and nature. He learned to take care of plants so much that people started calling him the plant doctor. When George was 12 years old, he was ready to start his formal education. But there were no schools for black children where he lived. He left home and found a town in southern Missouri where there was a school. He went to school and worked as a farmhand to earn his keep. After graduating, he became the first black student to attend Simpson College in Iowa. After Simpson College, he transferred to Iowa Agricultural College and worked as a school janitor to help pay for his classes. George Washington Carver received his degree from the Iowa Agricultural College in 1894 and 2 years later received his master's degree. He was the first African American to serve on that school's faculty. It was not long before his fame spread, and Booker T. Washington offered him a teaching job at the Tuskegee Institute. George was very busy at the Tuskegee Institute. His interest in agriculture helped him to discover many things that helped people. These are still in use today. He developed a method of crop rotation which really helped the farmers. Most farmers were growing either cotton or tobacco. They would grow these plants year after year in the same place, and their plants were doing worse and worse. They did not know that plants were taking the nutrients out of the soil so that each year there were fewer nutrients for the new plants. George understood what was happening. He knew of plants that would make the soil rich again. If the farmers planted these other plants one year and cotton the next year, the crops would be much better. Farmers started growing peanuts, peas, soybeans, sweet potatoes, and pecans. Before long, their farms were doing much better. When farmers began producing too many peanuts, George looked for new ways to use them. Have you ever heard of peanut oil and peanut butter? He found 325 different ways to use peanuts. When he was done with peanuts, he found almost 20 uses for sweet potatoes and pecans. Then he learned how to make 500 different shades of dye from soybeans. These dyes could be used in cosmetics, plants, and stains. George Washington Carver did not patent most of his inventions or discoveries. He thought that since he had been given a brain to think of these things, he should give them away to others. Many people honored him for his work, including President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. President Roosevelt dedicated a national monument to Carver and to his work on July the 4th, 1943. The area where he grew up is also preserved as a park and a national monument. George Washington Carver was about 79 when he died at the Tuskegee Institute on January the 5th, 1943. On his tombstone are these words: He could have added fortune to fame, but caring for neither, he found happiness and honor in being helpful to the world.